In this video, we'll learn about some concepts of network troubleshooting that I've learned over my years of network engineering. And there's many different types of networks out there. So we're not going to delve into specific elements of specific types of networks, but there are some foundational concepts that once you understand them, it makes it much easier to troubleshoot any network that you might be working on. So let's start with an example. And our objective here is to isolate the problem and eliminate potential causes. So let's say that we're getting an issue reported to us that server 1 can't communicate with server 3. Well, there's a lot of potential causes to that problem. And one of the main things we're going to need to figure it out in a quick manner is a network diagram. So here's a look at the network diagram that we're going to be using. And what I'm going to do in this scenario is take a logical approach. I want to start to eliminate and isolate this problem. And so the first question I'll ask is, well, server 1 can communicate with server 3, but how about server 2? And that's an important question to answer. So if server 1 is not working, but server 2 is working and server 2 can communicate with server 3, now I've greatly reduced the amount of potential causes for this problem. I know it's probably not my router. I know it's not my wide area network connection or this other router. I know it's probably not my Ethernet switch, and if it is, it's something that's configured directly on the port connected to server 1. This is what I mean by eliminating potential causes. Now I have a very small subset of things to look at. So instead of having to analyze everything on the network, I can focus my attention on this port and things happening inside this server and this physical connection right here. So it makes it much easier for me to solve the problem as I eliminate these potential causes. But a different scenario is, well, what if server 2 cannot communicate with server 3 and server 1 also cannot? Well, that means I can kind of eliminate certain things, right? I don't think it's the network interface for either of these servers because they're both in the same situation. I don't think that it's the way that they're physically connected to the switch, but it could be a switch configuration issue. It could be a router configuration issue. My wide area network could be down. These are things that server 1 and server 2 have in common. And so isn't it nice to have a network diagram that can help us quickly identify the things that these two servers have in common? And so hopefully by kind of eliminating parts of the network and really focusing in on parts that could be causing the problem, I can make this happen much more quickly. But that being said, my motto with network troubleshooting is we want to move slowly to solve the problem quickly. We want to be methodical in our approach. And we want to not just grasp at straws, not just look for ways to solve the problem right away, but to move in a methodical manner, figure out exactly what the problem is by eliminating one potential cause at a time. So let's look at an example of that. I'm going to remove server 2 from the diagram completely, and let's just focus strictly on server 1 and server 3. So I now know server 1 cannot communicate with server 3. I need to find the potential cause. Well, what I'm going to do is I am going to move one piece of the network at a time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see, hey, is my connection to my switch okay? Am I able to communicate to anything? Or is the problem strictly I can't communicate with server 3? I'm going to make sure that my physical network connection is good. I'm going to make sure that my switch port shows a status of connected. I'm going to make sure I'm connected to the right VLAN. I'm going to check all of those settings in the switch. And once I am very confident that everything from my computer to the switch is set up properly, Then I'll move further up the network diagram and I'll take a look at the router. Maybe there's an access list in the router that's blocking this. Maybe there's something wrong in my route table and nobody can reach server 3. Maybe the wide area connection is down, right? So once I've eliminated this router as a potential cause, I want to look at the connection to the other location and figure out, is that down or is it working properly? And that's something I want to focus on here, because if you say, hey, server 1 can't communicate with server 3, you may be tempted to just jump straight here and look at the wide area network. Is our wide area network connection down? And then maybe after that you say, well, let me look at this router, and oh, I should look at the switch. And if you're kind of moving in an unorganized fashion, that's going to drag out the troubleshooting process, right? Verifying your connection to the switch, verifying you're on the right VLAN, it's like a 5-minute process. And if I can just work methodically through the diagram, eliminating one potential cause at a time, eventually I'll find that cause. But what I will not do is waste time grasping at straws or looking at things that I've already looked at. So that's why I say you want to move slowly to solve the problem quickly. Move slowly in a methodical manner, right? Eliminate one potential cause at a time, and eventually you'll find the cause of the problem.